Yeah, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Process and Automation podcast. As most of you know, to all the listeners of our podcast, is that we cover all sorts of different areas of automation. And today, we would like to look at the intelligent process automation. And so, what is intelligent process automation? That's what we cover. And why does it matter? Arno, welcome to the show as well. And why does it matter?
Well, I guess it is a buzzword that's out there. And I think what we need to do first is try to look at what is intelligent process automation, because we've heard the term out there. We've heard the term RPA, which is robotic process automation. Um, and today we're going to sort of differentiate between those two things. So, intelligent process automation, or IPA, as it refers to, is it refers to tasks that are automated or optimized in part by artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms. Intelligent process automation can reduce human intervention in a variety of business processes out there. IPA solutions go far beyond simple rule-based tasks. So, for example, IPA tools can apply artificial intelligence to process unstructured data, and this is something that many RPA tools cannot do. Or to provision IT resources to ensure critical SLAs are maintained, for example. Another example can include the use of machine learning algorithms that enable intelligent process automation tool to improve task performance over time, for example. So really, it's taking automation and applying cognitive behaviors to it to make it intelligent. So it's not just rules-based, predetermined, but really it works on sort of machine learning algorithms where you train it to do things and learn by itself. And in this instance, one of the examples I've mentioned is to unstructured data, like an invoice, for example. And invoices could be different depending on your customer. Extracting that structured data from the invoice, which has got the line items, the invoice number, doing that for a variety of invoices, for the view to give that to a robotic process automation bot that needs structured information to do some processing, right?
Yeah, indeed. So in some of these processes, and when we look at them, just RPA is not efficient enough, isn't it? So the bot needs eyes, and these eyes are nowadays it is one capability of artificial intelligence, isn't it?
Yes.
The vision capability of AI, and so that's a very, very common one when we look at intelligent process automation and how we can enhance RPA. Yeah, really, lots of people are sort of using these terms a bit like the same, isn't it? So they say intelligent process automation is RPA, but as you mentioned, it's just a combination of it. Where
Yeah, exactly. And I think intelligent process automation is often regarded, as you say, as being the same as robotic process automation, and it's sort of just half true, because robotic process automation is a key component of intelligent process automation, but intelligent process automation doesn't necessarily have to include RPA. So sort of with intelligent process automation, you might just have an AI model that sits there that's not dependent to provide its output to RPA bot. Indeed, RPA bots can exist without the intelligent part, but of course the data needs to be very structured. And robotic process automation really refers to the tools, applications, platforms, and all the scripts that automate simple rule-based repetitive tasks. And these tasks are generally quite time-consuming when you do it manually. So for instance, instead of collecting phone numbers from applications, a RPA tool can be can be trained to automate that task, right? But the inherent problem with RPA is the fact that it is still rules-based. And if you update your, say, your contact form, or the customer enters information in the wrong row on the form, the RPA tool won't be able to successfully complete that task because, of course, it doesn't have that intelligent capability. And this is exactly where robotic or intelligent process automation is frequently used. At that point where RPA is no longer effective, because it leverages artificial intelligence. These intelligent process automation tools can complete more complicated processes that incorporates a variety of new and emerging technologies now.
That's quite interesting. So yeah, let's look at the artificial intelligence and also maybe machine learning and how that can be used with intelligent process automation. So the use of AI and ML, machine learning, is in process automation enables the intelligent process automation platforms to go, as you mentioned earlier, further than just front office and back office tasks. It goes further than just RPAs used to automate these tasks. Artificial intelligence, for example, makes it possible for these platforms to analyze this unstructured data, as you mentioned, so the semi-structured data and the unstructured data are necessary for language, natural language processing. So in detecting the intention, the intent, and other cognitive technologies. So this combined, this allows users to build really complex workflows for. Now the topic comes up again for us again more and more. So the chatbots, or responding to customer requests. So as soon as we understand what it is the bot needs to do, it could be not just text, for example. It could be also images, isn't it? Understanding video clips. Also, sorts of use cases are available to give the bot a little bit more information to process more in this end-to-end process. So whereas or where you usually use RPA tools to automate tasks that already exist, intelligent process automation, so together with AI tools, these tools give users the opportunity to sort of rethink the capabilities of existing processes, or to really look at the processes and to optimize them with additional learning. So deep learning is the phrase here, or use new technologies such as so intelligent decision making to create really innovative processes. And with those capabilities in your platform, when you start using machine learning algorithms that also looks at all the historic data and the real-time data, you can optimize these processes, your process even further. So we when we look at this machine learning and looking at real-time data and historical data, we touch overlap slightly probably with here and there with process mining, but this really allows us to optimize processes in real time and then predict what might happen in the future. So very, very powerful when you think about predictive analytics and that kind of stuff. For example, you could look at your workflow and automatically route the work on the predicted runtimes, and all the content you have discovered, all the understanding you have historically. You can manage how the whole how the process flows to solve problems, and so this is where you can improve your processes with artificial intelligence and machine learning. So that's something you should really look at.
Yes, and of course, I think we have spoken about how important data is. A lot of people say data is new gold. It feels like they've been saying that for years, but I think it's so much more important now to look at your data, because of course for end-to-end orchestration, you really need those data sets across your business. And of course, in today's business environment, these platforms we use, these SaaS platforms, they don't exist as a single island. And if we deploy a intelligent process automation tool, it will have to access and manipulate data from a variety of sources. And a lot of this access rely on disparate technologies, from different vendors.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you look at intelligent automation and sort of having access to this really valuable backend data, a level of extensibility is required, on the back end, either through your workflow automation that exposes data, your enterprise job scheduler, that does ETL jobs, for example, service orchestration. We talked about data APIs and data platforms quite extensively in the past.
Mm-hmm.
So these solutions provide sort of these kind of universal. So most of them provides these universal connectors and API accessibility to seamlessly manage data and dependencies between disparate systems, within inside your business, and that truly then makes end-to-end process automation possible, and that then unlocks the ability for you to use intelligent process automation tools, to find that right data that's on your infrastructure, that you could deploy these automations that you require, and provide and unlock that value intelligent process automation can provide you, you as a business. So again, it's that kind of back to that thinking where we have to have our data in a good place. We need to expose it in a way that it can be consumed easily. Of course, there are these different silos that exist inside business. And it can sometimes be a bit scary when you look at the different disparate data sources, but there are options. Almost all of the modern SaaS applications provide connectors, even with each other. Obviously, legacy systems, there's ways to connect that to your data sources. And if you can't, of course, you can use RPA to do that. And again, once you've got this data liberated, very powerful place then to overlay your intelligent automation tool, where let's look at a chatbot, for example. A chatbot can actually index your backend data. We've seen examples where a chatbot understands data structures, it understands, let's say, your customer entity. So it knows how to bring that data into a conversation with somebody. And that's a fairly basic example, but that can get to the single source of truth very easily, just by using the chatbot connectors, for example, to connect to your data source.
Yeah, so then let's look at a few other examples, or maybe before we jump into the examples, how good would all that stuff be if it's possible on a low-code platform, isn't it? So we discussed that lots of times, and sometimes our listeners might think artificial intelligence, machine learning, end-to-end process automation, orchestration, all this stuff might be very complicated, but it can be also done on very, very powerful local platforms. Everything is part of that platform, the RPA, the AI, and lots of stuff. So it doesn't need to be difficult. Everything can be done with the power of low-code these days. So so then let's look at a few examples here. You mentioned this chatbot example already, a good use case. So if you look into a few more use cases, these IPA tools or intelligent process automation tools are used to automate as you mentioned earlier on, or time-consuming and routine business processes, enabling all the employees to really look at the more valuable tasks in their departments and spend more time on those instead of feeling like a robot. And by freeing up this time from your employees, your business, it will be more efficient, will be more productive, and save a lot on your full-time employee costs. So this is a good advantage. Not everyone is necessarily looking at saving full-time employees. That's in most cases actually the opposite. They never want to get rid of people. They just want to extend sort of the real valuable capacity of people. So that's why it's so important. And so there are lots of different use cases in lots of different industries, in lots of different departments. So it could be finance industries, healthcare, manufacturing. So we covered so many use cases as well in the past on different angles, on chatbots, on low code, on RPA. So feel free to just go back on our episodes and catch up on all this good content we have produced over the have produced in the past. So, but let's pick one here first. We really like always is financial services. So it's a very busy and innovative, usually industry. Sometimes it feels like they are a bit old-fashioned. They're not moving fast, but they actually have the pockets to try all this new stuff. And when they look at it, they come up with really good use cases. So customer support, for example, those professionals in these departments have to gather customer data from databases. They have to retrieve that information from they have to do phone calls, emails, and online chats. So this is very time consuming and can impact sort of the whole customer journey, the customer experience. Some topic we're really passionate about as well. And this tool can be an intelligent process automation tool, can be used to pull data from automatically data from different databases and updates these records with all the information gathered from emails and phone calls automatically. So it can sort of transcribe and classify and identify intent and maybe the mood of the person calling. So to store all that extra information in a database, and so you can gain so much more from your data.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think financial services is still a very good place to find use cases because, of course, it's transaction rich, and these transactions tend to be high volume, low value. But like you say, identifying intent in a transaction, for example, from different sources, extracting structured data from that out into a database and then presenting that to a person with a index of some description, a risk index or a mood index. That's very valuable. We see it, for example, in insurance, where the claims department might spend hundreds of hours a year entering data from claims forms into the insurance management system or their CRM system or backend system, and deploying an intelligent process automation tool can be used to scrape all of that necessary data from the forms and automatically port them onto your insurance system or your CRM system. And again, this task can be included in a larger end-to-end process that delivers that relevant information directly to the customer or the end user or whoever is looking at the claim. I saw an example of a implementation of a AI-driven low-code platform where the telephone call was automatically transcribed and the intent extracted from the telephone call, and the attended bot actually navigated to the right place to go and update the information. All the agent had to do is really just verify that was correct. So they didn't even have to type the information in. So there's really, really powerful sort of cognitive services that's coming out and that's available as part of these intelligent process automation platform.
And you mentioned, so the bot is identifying the intent and then doing all that stuff, and then the human workers verifying it. So this is the kind of deep learning which at some point happens, isn't it, or occurs? So the learning flows back into the system, or can flow back into the system. So
Exactly.
then at some point the bot is achieving like 90% of, or 99 on whatever success rate, then at some point you don't need that verification from the human worker anymore, because you then start trusting that algorithm based on that learning, the historic learning. So you can
exactly
become even more efficient. No?
Exactly the point, you see, and this is the thing that differentiated from normal robotic process automation, is that the machine learning algorithms in the background does constantly learn. So they do learn that for these specific phrases, the intent was extracted. Maybe a human actually confirmed that that was the correct intent. And if that happens again and again, a couple of times, because of course the data was extracted, nobody changed it on the form. So it means that the algorithm was correct. So that just ensures that the learning of that sort of the accuracy level elevates up to the point where you don't need to have somebody that needs to review it, because it's got enough sort of knowledge and intelligence based on previous learnings that is the intent of a customer that phones in that wants to change their address, for example.
And that's succeeding in very many often or many times actually the accuracy you have from your human workers in these departments, because at some point this is what we see in here. At some point, if you do this day in, day out, at some point you get blind for something, so you make probably more mistakes than the bot would do. It doesn't mean that we as a human are obsolete, but I think for some tasks it definitely makes sense to get it done by a bot and AI.
Yeah, exactly. So let's throw another example in there. Let's say in shipping, for example, where you could use an intelligent process automation tool to analyze shipping data, for example, to optimize your shipping routes and schedules in order to reduce bottlenecks and prevent delays and optimize valuable resources. Now you could automate that process, or try and automate it without using machine learning, but of course you have to look at all of their variations. And it can be quite difficult and time consuming if it's rule based. Whereas something like this, if you do deploy the deep learning, and you can actually create a model that would simulate how do we optimize assets, how do we optimize the routes, that's when the sort of the benefits comes in place. So three very simple use cases. Again, financial services, insurance, and shipping. So quite different types of scenarios where this could be beneficial. But hopefully it's clear to our listeners that there are massive benefits of deploying intelligent process automation. I guess the main benefit I would see is efficiency, optimization, and innovation, and I think that's generally true for process automation as a whole. Where you automate these routine processes that you save employees times and make their lives easier. But when you introduce kind of machine learning algorithms, that these algorithms can discover new ways to optimize your processes for even further efficiency and productivity gains. When you've got these capabilities within inside your business, the intelligent process automation capabilities and the tools, both your business and your IT users can use those technologies to develop even more innovative solutions, and more importantly, to improve those customer experiences that we're always talking about.
That's these benefits are quite tangible if you put this in numbers. So you can automate like 50% of your manual tasks or more 50% is just sort of on the lower end. What we have seen in some areas, it's really going up to 90%, which is fantastic. So the processing times are reduced by 50%, and ROI achieved is over 100%. So, and this usually in very short time frames, and so I guess that's quite appealing. If you look at this, you still need to find out what processes are worthy to improve and to automate with intelligent process automation, but if you can just pick a couple of those to get started in your business, I think, you want to do more, and then hopefully then the pipeline fills up with lots of processes to automate, and so very, very good benefits there, and good reason to look at,
Yeah, like we said earlier in our Clubhouse session, we see the gap between IT and the business is closing, where IT is deploying more of these low-code automation tools, including intelligent process automation tools, robotic process automation to low-code automation tools, where, it does accelerate digital transformation initiatives because it is easier to deploy these solutions. And the end of it is reducing costs across the business and increasing some satisfaction. So this alignment, where IT is kind of aligning very closely with the business to meet their needs and to orchestrate these end-to-end processes for the users, and to streamline processes across the business. It's a really sort of exciting future, seeing those things happening more and more. And I think with intelligent automation in the mix, that will go to a next level where, we've got our processes automated now. We've got our robots in the background that can do things, rule-based activities very fast. They can work 24/7. And this kind of just brings a new level to our business process orchestration, where it's really intelligent, and by combining all of these sort of automation tools with machine learning applications, we really kind of getting to that sort of hyper automation space, don't we? Where it's very clever things that can be done very quickly.
Yeah, the big thing to look at is really the end-to-end automation, isn't it? So we had lots of point automation within the business, and but I think looking at the end-to-end, so that's sort of the really, really big one to look at, and these are where the really huge benefits are, and where it gets really interesting to have this big mix of capabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. So very exciting. Lots to talk about. We'll try our best to try and cover all of these different disciplines. But a very, very, very good topic, intelligent process automation. And I think as AI becomes more accessible to people, this will become, I would say, very mainstream very soon. When people realize its benefits and how it can sort of take automation to the next level, right?
So yeah, we recommend to our listeners to catch up on the previous episodes. If you're not a regular listener, follow us on theautomationguys.net to just be informed of what's going on in the space with events and content we share, webinars, our podcast episodes, everything you will find there. And as always, if you need sort of help, want to sort of some advice on how to get started, Arno and I, we are here for you to go on a session and just show you what is possible, thinking outside of the box, and those kind of sessions. And yeah, feel free to reach out to us at any time, and let's automate it. Unfortunately, that's it again with this episode of the Process and Automation podcast. If you liked this episode, please give us a 5-star rating, and don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss any upcoming episode. We hope you will tune in next time, and until then, let's automate it.